Recently, I was asked again by one of the students, why do I zero my pistols at a certain distance? And how come, the pistol is not shooting where they think it should be shooting at, 7 yards or something? So we had this whole lengthy conversation about why I do things the way I do things. And I figured I'll make a video because I get that question a bunch. So I zero my pistols at 25 usually, and then I confirm that the gun can still hit at 100. So that's just me being me, and if the gun does not hit at 100, then I adjust it so I can get some sort of reference to get the shots at 100. I usually do it on full-size guns. Problem is, most of my students currently carry some sort of a microcompact. So since they're carrying microcompact, I figured I'll make a video and I'll quickly try to show what's going on with zeros on pistols at further out distances and what kind of bullet drop you should expect out of microcompact. With that being said, I'm gonna just run one type of grain, one type of round, and not nerd out on details bunch. So HST's 147 grain, there's two different generations basically of it, but they're almost the same. And I'm gonna send one round at each distance, do the best I can to get the best hits on the target that I can get at that distance. Idea there being, if you decide to engage something or someone at further distances, what should you expect as far as holds and stuff like that? Big deal is, I'm not in any way suggesting that you should be engaging at those distances. What I'm saying is, if you're capable and you decide to, you should know your holds. With rifles, everybody zeros, multiple rifle classes recently, and we always zero whatever it is that you zero. Then we check where you are at other distances besides for your zero, right? So let's say you decide at 5200, you're at 5200, and then we're gonna go to 150 and figure out where you're gonna hit at that. We're gonna go to 100 and figure out where you're gonna hit at that. We're gonna go to 300 and figure out how much you're dropping and stuff like that. With pistol, I don't think I've ever seen a video where somebody does it, somebody did it. If there was, I missed it. So I figured I'm gonna make a video, no big deal. We're gonna make it happen. With that, we're gonna implore our Shield Plus with the typical Halasan. This is my typical student's average gun, right? I'm not running any kind of my stuff because I'm a freak of nature. I'm running what you would run. Typical rounds, well, not in Jersey, but yeah, that's your 147 grain, not plus P. Again, we can nerd out on what kind of weight of what kind of bullet should come out at what speed out of your particular microcompact and how to make that the best round for your gun. But we're not gonna bother with that today, and we're gonna use this guy, El Cheapo rangefinder. Good thing about it is it shows you the distance on the side, right? So we're gonna measure to somewhere and it shows us that's the distance, right? I'm gonna be the one filming this whole thing by myself because I don't expect it to be a very long video, and we're just gonna make it happen mostly for the data purposes, just so you understand what's going on. The guy that's gonna be rooting for me to miss is right here, Mr. Yorick. He's gonna try really hard to dodge the rounds that I'm gonna send at him. I, just for reference, slapped this piece of white paper right in his center-ish, a little bit to the left. That is because I'm running a 6-inch at 100 6mm dot, and it's gonna be gigantic by the time I start moving out further out. Drops are gonna be insane, so we're gonna have to start changing the holdovers. So this is gonna get really, really interesting really quickly, and we're just gonna roll with it, see what I can do. I fully expect that somewhere at 50-ish yards, maybe a little bit further than that, we're gonna start getting really crazy, you know, rises and crazy drops. And at some point, when we're at 100, we're gonna have a really significant drop that I'm gonna have to start holding head, you know, and figure it out from there. I'm gonna try my best to get as accurate of a shot as I can. If that means I have something near me that I'm gonna stabilize myself on, I'll do just that. If there is nothing near me and I'm gonna have to take it off hand, I'll take it off hand. Basically, we're gonna make it the way you would have to get that shot done in the condition that you would be getting it done. That's all there is to it. Let's go to it. So, since we're sighted in at 25, 25.5, there is us, 25.5. Let's see how this goes. I'm expecting the gun to shoot a little bit high at 25. No real surprises. It's sighted in a little bit higher than that 1/4 inch to the left is all me. I was aiming that center, hit a little bit left. Feels like all me. Gun is very new to me. I don't shoot it a bunch, carry it every once in a while, but there's the hit. And we're gonna mark it at 25, and we're gonna move on. We are in 50-ish yard range. I know what's gonna happen to the bullet, and I'm wondering if I should actually compensate for it or pretend that nothing is happening. And I decided we're gonna pretend that nothing is happening. So I'm gonna pretend that I have no clue what's gonna happen to the round. We're gonna send it and take it from there. Pulled it right after the break. I felt that go right. Again, we're gonna just roll with whatever the hell is happening. As I said, pulled it right. I wonder if you knew what's gonna happen to the bullet before I pulled the trigger. So out of these micro guns, 25 and 50 are very friggin' close. They're not quite the same, but close enough to make it, you know, somewhat interesting. The dot was hovering right about here when I sent that guy in. Right, so I knew I pulled it right, possibly a little bit down. Again, we're trying to see what I would perform like if I would be you. That's the idea. So we're gonna push it to 70-ish. So this is where things are gonna start, like, this is exactly where I'm gonna start wishing I would have a full-size gun, or at least a compact, because that's exactly the reason why I like carrying my bigger guns. I know exactly how it's gonna behave. I know exactly how I can push it. I don't like micro compacts for this very reason. I don't like them because they're not very predictable at these distances. But we shall attempt. Lift it off from top left corner, but at these distances it's gonna be, you know, rather interesting. We'll find out in a minute. So cool thing here is, even though I lifted off from top left corner, I hit bottom right. So if I would be really zeroing my gun, I'm still thinking right now, maybe I should do it, but I just really don't want to do it on video. I want to pretend that I'm one of the students that zeroed at 25 and I'm just rolling with it. My personal gun, and I might just do it right after I'm done with this video, is I would actually start zeroing that if it lifted off from here, I want to actually be hitting here, right? So I would actually click it to where it belongs. This to me looks like the gun is actually dropping them to the right. I don't care about up and down, but I really do care about left and right. I would start messing with that, but I'm not gonna mess with it because of you guys. We're gonna mess with it afterwards. I want to pretend that I'm my own student that does this type of stuff. So we are at 90-ish, and I'm gonna actually, again, I'm pretending that I have no clue where my hits are and how this is gonna go. And we're gonna start, I really am wishing right about now, sorry, got some grass on this. I'm really wishing right about now that I can at least brace, but we're gonna pretend that there is no place to brace, and we'll work with what we have. So I'm jumping all around the upper torso on this target, and the target is covered. So the width of the target, let's have this conversation. The width of the target, about not a half, not quite half, but probably a third of it is being covered by the 6-inch dot I have. So I'm jumping all around the upper torso of it. We're just gonna sand it and see how it goes. Okay, lift it off from bottom left corner below the square. So we're gonna find out if I missed altogether or not. But considering that I think the gun is actually shooting to the right, let's see where we ended up. Awesome, exactly what I wanted to show. This is why microcompacts are not my favorite. I'm gonna say some of this is me, but not all of this is me. I lifted off from right about here at 90, and here's my hit. So I didn't flinch it by, you know, a freaking foot, right? This is mostly the drop of the round itself. So idea is for 100, I'm gonna hold right about here, because now I know that my drop is about this, right? So this is about my drop. Again, I'm not gonna pull out the measuring tape. This is a standard target, right? And the idea there is a B-27 target. Let's have a full conversation about it. This is a B-27 target. I dropped about, you know, from here to here, it's a foot plus. And that right movement is very consistent with the way the gun is shooting, right? So we're gonna actually call it what it is, and we're gonna say that dropping a foot plus is the gun, and pushing about, I don't know, half foot to the right is the gun itself, right? Not me. If I did flinch it, we'll find out next shot. I'm gonna start holding somewhere here as much as I can to get those hits at 100 plus. All right, we're at 100, and I think I'm gonna actually try it supported to see if I can get better results, because I was shaking all around on that 90-yard shot. So let's see if I can do a little bit better. 1014, 97.9 is whatever with the angle. So I'm shooting a little bit up. If you want to nerd out on that, we're gonna be able to pull it off like that. All right, held top edge of the paper and did as good as I could on that. Let's see where I ended up. As you might have guessed, that right movement persists, right? So again, this is me at 25. At 100, This is where I am from holding here. This is what I held. And that trigger broke very smoothly. So I did almost, no influence. I barely did anything to the gun when this shot broke. So I'm actually pretty freaking confident that this is about where that dot was pointed when this shot landed at 100. Again, in the grand scheme of things, just so we understand what we're doing, you are gonna probably start holding, if you're zeroed at 25, this gun is zeroed about an inch high at 25, maybe, and about an inch left at 25, something like that. It right now is yielding me, a foot drop from where I was holding, and about, I don't know, 4 inches, 5 inches to the right. It's very consistent, the way it's dropping those rounds down. Very freaking consistent in my opinion. I don't think I'm doing that on the trigger. I think it's the gun that's doing it. So let's mark it and keep on going. 115-ish, maybe a bit more. And we're about to start dropping like a rock. But I'm going to pretend that I don't know. 118.3, here we go. Okay, 117. This is gonna be probably the most comfortable shot I'll take all day today. We're gonna still hold top edge of the paper. Do the best I can with what I have. Okay. That is covering, again, a solid about half a width of the target. Sorry. So I'll do the best I can with it. Lift it off from above left top edge. So I'm holding left for a reason. I held left because I know the gun is shooting to the right. So I held left for that very reason, in hopes that I'm gonna stay on paper with that leftwards movement. I mean rightwards movement, I'm sorry. So I'm trying to stay on paper with that. I expect to be somewhere under the paper this distance, but still on the black of the target. 117 or whatever the heck it was. Let's find out where we're at. Remember when I said that it's gonna drop like a rock? Wasn't kidding. This is where I held. About here is when the gun went boom. Not under the paper. All the way to the right and all the way down. So at 115 or 120, whatever that was, we're dropping about from here to here. So if you would want to actually get hits somewhere center mass for this particular gun, you would have to start holding about here, right? So that would actually get you something like this, right? Yeah, I kind of expected that. It happens way later on the guns I usually carry, but that drop is inevitable, and right at about 130-ish for full-size guns, it starts happening. So if I pull my Beretta right now and I'm gonna try to send a couple of rounds with my Beretta at 130, I'm gonna get that crazy drop, but I'm gonna get it later. It's gonna be at like 130 plus. I'm gonna start getting that huge drop. So let's see what happens when we push to 150, and I think we're gonna wrap it up at that point. So let's get an intermediate point of data. You thought satellite dishes are useless? I beg to differ. We're at, man, hard to actually hit it with this. Here we go, 130-ish. 130.2. With a teeny bit of elevation, nothing crazy. Let's see what I can do with the satellite dish. So I'm gonna start holding over that left shoulder to actually get the shots to go where they belong. a little bit over the left shoulder. I'm not doing too much, but I'm gonna hold a teeny bit over the left shoulder. That is jumping all over the place, so I'm not gonna tell you that I'm gonna be nice and accurate at that distance. Satellite dish didn't do any good. It's all jumping. It's not very sturdy. But yeah, let's see what happens. Held about, so the dot is covering more than half a target at this point. Held about, I'm gonna say the neck-ish, to the left shoulder neck-ish area. And I'm hoping to be on the black somewhere. Let's see if I got it. Getting my steps in for the day. So, just to explain to you what I'm seeing when I pull these triggers. I'm seeing like this. Right, that's my dot, somewhere there. And it's dancing somewhere here. And I got this. I say that's still good, and we should push it to 150. It's the same freaking thing. So at 130, we're dropping, I don't know, height of a human torso, if you think of it that way, and that's what we're getting. So if you take him from the neck to his balls, and you realize that's basically what I held. So I held left, right, held right about here. And I held high as hell, and I dropped it all the way here, and that's what we got. So the idea there is, if you're shooting at 130 yards off a satellite little dish, and you're got a micro compact with 147 grains, not plus P stuff, I'm gonna guess the bullet is so freaking slow over here, he can catch it with a baseball mitt. But that's the drop. Don't think of it as a dope chart. This is just, you know, experimenting, trying to figure out where your holds would be and where your holds should be at whatever distances. So we're a bunch past 150, and this is gonna be the end of it. Let's see if I can get you freaking. There we go. There's a shot on the target. $153.5. I'll basically brace myself on something that's not gonna cut me, and we'll take it from there. So I'm gonna hold to the left of the head and expect to drop under the target, actually. So I'm hoping to show you something on paper, but at the same time, I know how much I'm gonna drop, and I really don't wanna hold off paper. So I'm gonna pretend that I don't know to hold higher than the head, and we're gonna hold to the left of the head. Just do the best I can with what I have. Okay, the top half of the friggin' target is covered by the dot, and each one of my friggin' movements when I'm speaking is the dot is jumping about half a target. So that's gonna be a really darn hard shot with being braced like that, but we shall attempt. Okay, held a little bit above the head and to the left of it. I don't know if it's gonna be on paper, let's find out. I kind of felt like sending 3 because maybe one of them would be on paper. I'm really pushing that gun and I'm really pushing myself. I'm not that good of a shot. So holding it, you know, off of the freaking trailer where I can't even place my hands like a human and everything is moving. I don't have high hopes for it. Let's see where we end up, if we can actually get the hits at this distance. This is gonna be an awesome video. Lovely. Okay, held right about here. Right about here. Meaning my dot is like here somewhere. It's blooming right here. Huge circle, right? Here's the hit. All right, that's about as good as I got it. So this is 150 whatever, 3, 5, whatever the hell that was. So 150 plus. Basically, as far as holds go, this is what we're trying to establish, and that's what I wanted to actually figure out. There is your 150 from microcompact at that distance. So here's my last video, the last part of it, of the day, as far as shooting goes. And we're gonna try at about 10 yards, just under. So my gun that shoots high and left at 25, we're just gonna put it dead on at 9+ yards and send it. Held right about here. Right, got this for a hit. A teeny bit low. At 10 yards, that gun shooting a little bit left, doesn't matter. At 25 yards, you actually get to see some of it moving left a little bit. At 50 yards, again, I'm not sure if that was me. You can refer to the video for the holds. I started to move right, and the gun kept on moving right, so I had to start compensating for that. That's us at 70. That's us at 100. No, I'm sorry. That's us at 90. And then I started to actually hold higher and higher and higher and higher and lefter to get it to go where it needed to go. So at 90, we ended up there. At 100, we ended up here. We got to start holding even higher. At 115, we ended up here. That's that significant drop. I experienced that further out with the bigger guns, but that's where it happens with this weight of ammo. With this particular gun, went to 130 here. Again, I'm holding high as heck. And then we ended up at 150 here, once I figured out where I should be holding it. And I held it where I was supposed to, which is basically still okay on standing humans. That's about all you can do at these distances. If you learn nothing else, me and Yorick demonstrated today that you can get hits with a microcompact gun that doesn't shoot, the axis of the sight, the actual red dot, is not the same as the axis of the barrel. So the gun is moving the zero from left to right on me. And even with all that being said, racing off of random freaking objects, you can get hits to 150 yards, first shot hits with hollow point ammo that's probably not really meant for this type of length of the barrel. So if you have to make the shot, you can make the shot. Well, I don't know if you can make the shot. I can kind of make the shot while being very much uncomfortable and not wanting to do it. It's still doable. So there's your zero. I'm gonna learn it for myself, and I'm gonna actually do it on all my guns, all my carrying guns, let's put it that way. I really don't care where the 44 Magnum lands at these distances, unless I'm carrying it. So I'm gonna make that same thing for my guns that I carry, and I know it for two guns that I carry the most. I can, get you, if I know the distance to the target, I can get you the hit with the weight of the ammo that I'm carrying, to 150 yards on pretty much everything that I carry, besides for this microcompact random little things. So I think it's super useful. Do I think that you should be making that shot and actually trying to land the shot at this distance if you don't know how to do it? No, you probably shouldn't. Do I think that there is, some sort of engagement that you would have to do this thing as a civilian? Probably not. But we do see these shots happening, like in law enforcement scenarios, and we do see people take these extremely long-range shots. And this is kind of cool to know what you're capable of in a in a complete vacuum of an environment where you're not really worried about shots coming back at you, or you're not worried about anything else happening. You're just chilling there and sending rounds at the target, knowing your holdovers if that you figured out early on at some point. That's the idea there. So good. That's it. That's all there is to it for today. And I'm gonna try it with different guns. If you want to see different videos with me trying it with different guns, and if it actually matters to you, I can try to film that as well. Avi, if you're watching this, we absolutely should do it together, and that way I can actually get a student that knows kind of what the hell he is doing in this thing, because you can probably show this better than, and you can figure it out for yourself and show this better than I can show it to people pretending to be a student. That's the idea. That's that. I did not want to push any further. I can push further and probably still land them on target somewhat, but that would be me holding above the target. For this gun in particular, I'd have to hold above the target to get those hits in. So I'm gonna have to hold like here to land the shots here, right? And that's something I don't think I have any business doing, or at least I don't think it's a good idea. If we're shooting rifles at further distances, that might be an idea, but pistols, I don't think it's a good idea. So we held everything from here to here, and that's the shots that we got. Let's get that real quick one more time and end with that. 10-ish, held right here. 25, held more or less straight. 50, 70, 90, significant drop. Started holding higher. 100, 115, 130, 150. You guys have a good one. Don't suck.